and welcome to another episode of the Love and Light Talk Show. I'm your host, Jayshree Shrikant, and I come to you with another beautiful soul, Kristine Kieland. And she is a super soul. Now, I'm going to tell you all about her. And then once I'm done, you're going to be like, I need to contact her ASAP. So Kristine is a natural born intuitive and medium. As a child, Kristine thought everyone saw, felt, and understood more than what was being said by others. And this was her natural state of being. But it was not until an experience with breast cancer back in 2009 prompted her to come out of the closet, so to speak. Now, did she claim her abilities? No. After that, she did claim her abilities and began her work with others as a professional intuitive, medium, and energy healer. Now, very quickly, as much to her delight, her abilities and skills expanded beyond the individual person into hearing, seeing, and working with angels, the galactics, and my favorite, Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Kristine is a multi-dimensional channel for the consciousness of love, joy, and peace. She's committed to assisting and supporting the transformation of humanity into a 5D experience. Namaste, Kristine, and thank you so much for taking time to be on my show.
I am so honored and so pleased to be with you. You carry such a loving and beautiful energy.
Oh my God.
And you hold this beautiful space. It's really overwhelming.
Really?
The presence that you bring in, and I can feel it. So it kind of comes through as tears with me, but it's just a very high vibration that I consider you a oneness consciousness. Like you are here to advocate for, to bring forward this oneness consciousness that we're leaving behind, what we've experienced so far. So you have everybody has a big team, but you're just very aware of your big team. You're very, very big energy field of really kindness, very, very kind energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like my heart says that I want to tell everybody, the stories, like bring forth people like you, light workers. Everyone asks me, and I used to do a lot of radio work, why aren't you interviewing celebrities? I said, there are these celebrities and these stars walking amongst us. They are the real celebrities, and they are the ones I want to bring, not, they're shallow, and I want to bring out the real heroes, like you, what you're trying to do, and it's not easy. So for the listeners and for those who are watching the show, something about Kristine, which you're not going to believe. So when I know I mentioned about her cancer. So back in 2008, she was diagnosed with cancer. And when she found the tumor, she heard a voice very clearly. It says, "Sweetheart, this is serious. It is time for you to do your work or time to check out." So she was like, okay.
What does that mean? I'm not too sure.
So Kristine, can you walk us through what was that experience like?
It was actually pretty normal.
Really?
For me, it was pretty normal because it's kind of how I've lived, I've kind of been in and out of both worlds. My mom was very, very psychic. I grew up knowing, trusting myself. I always heard things, always heard the answer to things, always heard people's stories. It wasn't until after I had the cancer diagnosis and I started thinking that this is a path I want to take that I actually asked my family, you mean you don't hear things? Like you don't get an answer? Like, well, no. And I'm like, oh, like it just was like, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. It's your own voice. It's your own thought, but it's just a little bit different.
Yes.
So it was a pretty normal, I just trusted. It's a different, it's not heavy, but there's a different tone to it. It's just very, not serious, but very authentic, I guess. It's anchored in different, and you just know. And so I just knew I'd be okay. I had a really good friend that said it'll probably take about 2 years because I did choose to go through real traditional treatment. I had surgery and chemo and radiation. Right. It did take me about 2 years, but that gave me the freedom to just say, this is what I'm doing. So what I tell everybody, whether they get cancer or any other disease, the moment you find out something, that's the moment you start healing.
Yeah.
Everybody gets really scared, and it's okay to, it's normal. It's not natural to be scared, but it's very normal to be scared.
Right.
You are healing. It's information for you to change whatever's going on in your life. It's a course correction.
I had a guest just last week actually, and she's a mindfulness coach, and she said something very interesting because she's a physical therapist. She's been working with patients who've had heart surgery, and she said that going through like a surgery it is what it is, but the suffering is your is like how do you say it, is a choice. You can choose
Yes.
to suffer.
Yeah. It is.
That's
And you don't
very
think of it.
powerful.
So you think, well, why would I choose it? It's an unconscious choice until you make it a conscious choice. But it is, you either get attached to an expectation or something that was. Same thing with grief.
Right.
You're attached to the moment. People
Yeah.
get very attached to the moment of death or the moment of a loss of a job or a
Yeah.
relationship or whatever. And you keep replaying that same moment.
Yes. Yes.
So you're not allowing yourself to go into what actually is.
Yes.
If that
And
makes sense.
when they keep replaying it, they don't realize, but they are actually lowering the vibrations instead of,
Yes.
right? That's
Yeah.
another interesting thing I wanted to talk to you about. Now, obviously, 2020, I'm happy to report that, or miss our favorite Mother Earth. I think she's finally
Yeah.
breathing. Gaia.
She is more than better.
More than better,
She's
right?
more than better. She has done she's held space for us. She's taken a lot of our trauma. She's taken a lot of the misunderstandings we've had with each other, with humanity.
Yeah.
She's taken out, we've embedded in her a lot of our, our hatred and stuff, hatred of
Yes.
ourselves, hatred of one another. She's in a 5D state. She's very, very clear.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be worried about. And now we just have to match, we're going into that vibration.
Yes.
But she's, it's very interesting. A couple of years ago, I think it was a couple of years ago, I had a kind of a meditative state and I just saw blood running through all the rivers and through all the oceans.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a painful experience, but it was
Yeah.
like I just could feel and understand all things. But the more I stayed in it, you saw the water run clear. We are going to a place where we will no longer harm each other.
That's what we need.
And we will not harm her. We are really, really close. I don't mean it's tomorrow. It's a little bit of like, a little drip, we're filling the cup up.
A journey, yeah.
But this vibration where we don't understand ourselves and we harm one another, and this just a lowered vibration. It makes sense to behave in that vibration. Does not make sense where we're going. So she's very pleased that you asked.
Yes.
She has a lot of elemental support and help. The trees are being recognized, like her beauty and what she has embedded in her.
Yeah.
The crystals, the trees, the water, we're starting to understand. You honor that as you honor yourself.
Yes,
but we went so long without honoring ourselves, it was almost impossible to honor another being.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, if you're watching the show, gratitude. I'm not just saying gratitude for your family. Yes, you should be grateful for everything, but also her. She's the food we're eating, everything is her.
Yeah.
She's actually the mother, true mother. She's providing us.
The provider, the nurturer, gives us the oxygen. Yeah.
I mean, people are they're not aware actually, so consciously. So do this if you can, whenever you remember, just when you step outside. And I do this actually, I just touch, even so I'm a classical Bharatanatyam dancer. So whenever we start, we actually do a namaskar to her saying, sorry, we're going to be stamping on you for the next 1 hour. But look at that. It's, as a kid, we used to be like, why are we doing this? Now I understand,
Yes.
And
yeah.
So when you start the dance, we do the namaskar. When we finish the dance, we do the namaskar. And so it's basically that. So just go touch her, say thank you for and oh my God.
And gratitude changes the vibration of everything. It raises the vibration. It actually changes the frequency. It changes the sound of an experience. It changes your DNA, and it changes the DNA of the earth. It's a little bit different DNA, but gratitude is so, so important. To have a granddaughter is almost 2. And every day that I have her, we go outside, we talk to the earth, she talks to the trees, we give gratitude to the water. Even the food you're ingesting, the water you drink, put your hands on it. Yeah. I'm grateful. Yeah. Thank you. It changes the nutrients you have to get in you. It can eliminate toxins. I mean, just gratitude, you can't say enough about it.
Even the water you're drinking?
Okay. Even the water you're drinking, just put your hand on it. What I started doing maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I'd bring home a bag of groceries and I would just put my hands up and I would send out the energy of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel your hands getting warm, but you would see, like, my intention was whatever is in line with nutrition for my family, that's what's ingested. Anything else just kind of flows right out. And you can see it because it gets all sparkly and your hands get kind of warm.
Wow.
So you may not have that sensation, but just, it's where people used to pray or give a blessing, but it's the same reason. We just kind of lost the understanding of why we were doing it.
Why we're doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot has been lost in translation. Truly.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's coming back.
We are. We're
right?
becoming much more aware. Yep. We're bringing back in the authentic part of the soul expression.
Yep. And light workers like you are very instrumental. So Kristine, I wanted to ask you, if somebody who's watching can resonate with your story regarding cancer, how would you be able to help them sort of overcome this?
Yeah. You need to go in. If it's fear for you, you need to go into the fear. Don't run away from it. This is an opportunity to really to slow down, honor yourself. Many times cancer, especially, it gives you an opportunity to receive something, to receive love, to receive care, nurturing.
Yes.
It's really about slowing it down. It's about, the best thing I can tell people is to it's really go into the fear. If you're experiencing fear,
yes,
is what's the fear? And most people have fear of dying, right? That's the bottom line. People hear cancer, they think coffin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you just get to the point, and it may sometimes time, is that the fear is robbing me of living. Fear really lowers your vibration. It lowers your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can kind of look it in the eye, and maybe you just talk to fear and say, what would you like to be next?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to grow up? Maybe you want to grow up into worry. Worry is a little bit better than fear.
True.
Would you like to grow up into trust?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, it sounds odd to people. It's really just a conversation. Your body communicates with you all the time.
Almost like a confrontation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the message of the cancer?
Yep.
And we could probably talk about it for a couple hours, but then also realize that you are healing your body.
You're healing the body, yeah.
When you acknowledge it, because it's not the enemy. Your body's not the enemy. The cancer's not an enemy.
Yeah.
The cancer is just an informational system that you're not understanding what it's trying to tell you.
True. I'm gonna link Kristine's website in the description box. So I know for a fact, right off the bat, I can tell you, I know 2 of my friends who are going to benefit greatly. They are in remission, but again, like you said, fear.
It does really help, and then have techniques you can use. It's hard, a lot to explain in a quick chat show, right?
I understand.
But there's lots of ways to bring it in, and really a nice way is just meditation. It's not to be totally, that I have no thoughts, but what are my thoughts?
Yeah.
Meditation for some are walking.
Absolutely.
And maybe sitting in a chair listening to music, but it's going inward and it's really about self-love.
Yes. Self-love.
Not self-care, but self-love. It's very, very different.
And actually, what's happened is in this rat race of life where everything's about, I have this to achieve, you forget yourself in that process.
Absolutely.
Even somebody taking care of children, like I have 3 kids, sometimes I forget myself too. That meditation is very important to be like, hey, also long showers.
Super important. Yeah.
Long showers.
Long showers are tremendous. You get lots, and that's especially if you're a mommy of young kids or parents of young kids, you need that space and that quiet time where nobody's knocking on the door and coming in. It's I was so thrilled for my kids, I loved them at all ages.
Why do you need to take such a long shower? I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not just a long shower. It's my escape.
It's rejuvenation, right?
It is.
It's self-nurturing. Maybe it's just peace of mind. Maybe, maybe it's nothing.
Yeah, it's really.
There's nobody wanting anything. So it's just that nice peace and calm. So cancer and many other diseases just gives you a tool to become more aware of yourself.
What about diabetes? Is that also fear? Same thing like
diabetes is normally not expressing joy.
Oh.
And so sometimes you may say, but I have a really nice life. I love myself. Yes. I express joy. But there's DNA. Our DNA comes from ancestral experience. So it becomes,
So it's like encoded.
Of course, I'm not a gene
Basically
therapist,
encoded. Mm-hmm.
but it actually becomes encoding in your body,
Makes sense.
and then it becomes a weakness, and something activates it. Many times it gets activated because you want to heal the ancestral line, or you want to heal it, you want understanding. So healing is just really understanding.
Healing is
so everything has a frequency and kind of a story to it, but diabetes is not expressing joy. So it may not be your joy. You may be, wonderful, but there's that underlying current.
My family is all about diabetes. I'll tell you.
Yeah, and then diabetes 1 is a lot of times about abandonment. When children have it. So it may not be that they're physically abandoned by their parents, but it's the soul has a memory of abandonment. And that's when it's juvenile diabetes. I think they call it type 1, right?
So are these like past life regressions? So is that something that's really helpful then?
Really helpful. And the stories are really interesting, but it's more like we just need to transform the energy, because you can do one story at a time, or you can just, this is the theme, or here's 12,000 years or 1,000 years, or we just want to transform the energy.
We do want to just transform the energy.
And if you do for one, you do for all. So if I was to do energy work on you or myself, it goes backwards down the lineage, and it'll go forward in the lineage.
Oh my gosh.
So it affects you, your mom, it's a bloodline.
It basically affects
your daughters. It affects everything, because really energy is no time. We put it in time so we can understand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. No, so the DNA. In fact, it's for something that what you just said about the past of. So there's and this is science, okay? In Harvard, they've tested a mouse. They put like a specific cheese, okay? And every time that mouse would go eat the cheese, whatever. But then they started, whenever he would eat the cheese, they would send a little bit of electric current to that cheese, to the mouse.
To the mouse.
Okay, now that mouse died. Now look what happened. The next generation of that one never went to that cheese.
Yeah, it becomes your epi-energetics, right?
Crazy, right?
Right. So
exactly what you're saying.
Right. So people have trauma, or you have somewhere in your history there's oppression, right?
Yeah.
And all of us have oppression, but to varying degrees. So it may not be your experience, but it's there. Or you have this, or maybe you have a fear of poverty, but you don't have poverty in your life.
But you have that fear.
You have the fear.
That is so true. A lot of people are insecure, or even insecurity in a relationship.
Yeah.
They're just insecure. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a continuous life story.
Yeah.
Even though we change identities and we change bodies, but it's a continuous life story. If you don't understand what happened when you're 5, you don't understand what happened a couple, another lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That's why the stories aren't so important. Sometimes people get stuck in the stories.
Yeah.
And we don't want to recreate stories. We just want to transform things. But if it's important, the information will come through.
It's funny what you just said. Reminded me his name is Sadhguru. He's very famous right now. And he said that,
I know he is.
So he said, if I tell you about your life, your past lives, it's the same thing. You're repeating it again and again. You come back and again, you repeat the same thing. He's like, you
just get other characters in the play, right? You may change the title. You might wear a different costume, but you just keep repeating the same thing.
So how to break away from that. And that's what Kristine can actually help you break away from that pattern, gosh, man, I love you. I wish you lived closer by and not.
Oh, I do. And you're in New Jersey, right?
I'm in New Jersey, Princeton. So Minnesota is you guys are already in like 50 degrees?
Only today. Next week we'll be back in the 60s again. We'll probably have the next, 60s, 70s, but October is kind of a weird month. But yeah, it gets kind of Midwest cold. I know.
Cold.
It's not my favorite, but
you guys get a lot of snow too?
Typically, I think this year we'll get a lot of snow because squirrels are already hiding things. So if they start hiding things this summer, and if they're hiding food in the summer, it's probably going to be a lot of snow this winter. But
last year there was nothing.
Yeah. So we take what is.
We take what is. Okay, before we jump into a very special interview, we're going to interview somebody that I would say he's changed the world. One last one. I know you mentioned about raising vibration. Any 3 tips you can give the listeners today how to raise their vibration?
Drink water.
Gotta
drink water. If you think of it, bless the water or whatever your terminology is. Dance and sing.
I love
super easy. Super easy. But joyful music, not like, sad music, right?
Um,
or actually go out and be with the trees.
or if you're like me, a
I gave you 4.
the tree.
Yeah. The trees, but dancing, singing, doesn't matter how you sing, how you
What about
dance, it
Zumba? Is
automatically raises
Zumba
your
good?
vibration.
Is Zumba?
Zumba is wonderful. As long as you're not judging and comparing yourself.
That's
Once you
very
judge and compare
important.
yourself with somebody, your vibration goes like this. So
Yeah.
if you're just doing it for the joy of moving your body, I like the sound of the music, like that raises your vibration. But once you go into comparison, judgment, and then you got to raise it again.
Like they say, dance like no one's watching you.
Yep. Dance with delight.
Okay. So, I'm going to we're going to bring in now. Before we bring him in, a lot of people don't understand what is channeling and what is mediumship. So I wanted to explain something very quickly. We're all actually spirits, all of us, but we're spirits in a body. And when you leave the body, you're still your spirit, but without a body. Okay. So we're consciousness. You can still communicate. Now, all of us have vibrations, and all of us are psychic, but they're somehow gifted that they can actually hear, see spirits. And that is what Kristine is. But also, why is she able to connect with the spirit? So they work at a higher vibration. We are here, like I'm here, definitely. And Kristine is here. So what happens is the spirit lowers their vibration. She's able to raise her, and they meet.
Mm-hmm.
And then they connect, and then she's able to tell us what they're feeling. So anybody who says, how is this possible? Listen, everything is possible. And this has been done for a long time. So again, this is all for good. And we just want to make sure that, everybody understands this. Okay, so jumping right in. We have our special guest today. He is Sushant Singh Rajput, the very famous actor. This I want to say young lad, dashing lad, can dance. He's a musician. He has essayed so many different roles in his movies, from Kai Poche to MS Dhoni and to Dil Bechara, and each one bringing on a different nuance and a different aspect of him. And oh boy, we miss him. He was 34. He walked this world, and he transformed everything. I would say a true trailblazer. So Sushant, welcome to our show.
He's very honored to be here with you. And the difference between like a trance channel, it will be like if I step aside and he comes through, I don't do that. I will actually come and meet his highest vibration instead of, sometimes it's dropping down, but I prefer to like meet him at his highest consciousness. So it's a pure reading. And he says he's very pleased to be here, very, very pleased to be here. And he repeats himself a little bit, but he's thrilled to work with me. But he really, honey, he's like, why aren't you doing this work?
Me?
Why aren't you the one listening? Kristine will help you. We will help. We work together. So, but you have the same talent. You have the same ability. You two are heart connected. So yes, it's just a little bit of your confidence. But he says
maybe Sushant can work with me. Yeah.
Yes. He will absolutely do that. So he says, you have questions. It looks like you have a sheet of questions or something. He's ready. He's ready, whatever you need. He says, but please, I will preface this whole conversation. And of course it comes through my filter a little bit. So, it's my English words. And he says, but we're all aligned. He says, I really want people to look at my life and have that be example. My life is example. He says, honestly, this other monkey business does not concern me a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's for somebody else. He will answer every single question you have.
Yeah.
But the focus he said, if I'm despondent about anything, if I'm upset about anything, is that my life is not being, you think you're honoring my life by focusing on my death, and you're not. He says, I brought so much to this world in such a short time. He says, I was never going to stay much longer than 35, 36, 37. I was not going to stay to 70. I came in to inject, and he says, I injected vitality to this planet. I injected hope and wisdom and fun. Like he just fun. And did he move his hips a lot? Like he was a hip dancer. So, that's the creative center. And it's just that sensuality of life, and not sexuality, but sensuality. If you're going to eat, like really enjoy what you're eating.
Yeah.
And if you're going to, like, whatever you do, he embraced life. So like he just he said sometimes it was so hard to get people to understand what he was trying to do. And he says, and I'm still not getting my voice heard.
Yeah. In fact, that's exactly what I wrote. So in an interview, he was asked, okay, why does he maintain distance from the media? He said, I have my reasons. Everybody's in a hurry to decode you in a certain way, and then they expect you to adhere to their definition. How can they possibly do that when you yourself are finding it hard to discover yourself? How many interviews and questions does it take to tell everyone what you think? There are many things you can say once you cultivate your opinion, and that comes with experience, which at this point I don't have much of. But you look at him, even
he's so wise. He's
so
so
wise.
like he has the wisdom, and he says, you know, people had my identity. People have me in a box. I'm the hero, or I'm the savior. I'm saving the country. I'm the hero of the country. People live through me vicariously. So it didn't. He says at times it didn't really matter what I say. The story was already written.
Mm.
He said I felt like I was talking to a not a. He says there was nobody listening. It was just words. They listened to my words and
Yep.
they went like this, but they weren't really listening.
They weren't
He
listening.
said, you're very good in your profession, in your past profession. You care. You want to know. You're curious. You didn't have the story written before somebody came. He says, that's so and so important. He says, so I was very frustrated, and my frustration did cause me some angst sometimes because I was not heard. I was not heard. And I tried. He said, I started out, he says, I was very generous with my time.
Yeah.
I was very generous with, if somebody asked for my time, I gave it to them. If they wanted to interview me, he said, sometimes I'd be so exhausted, but I did it anyway. And he says, towards, around 31, 32, it kind of feels like I started pulling back because it wasn't making a difference. You weren't hearing me anyway.
Yeah.
I had things to share. He said, my movies, my songs, he says his musics were super, super important. He would have done more with the music.
He got some good music. He got some good tracks.
Yeah, he says, but it was really about, I wanted to bring something different. I didn't get quite to the point where people he wanted to unlock something in humanity, and it wasn't really being unlocked yet. But he says, now, next question. He's ready. He's very
high energy.
He's very pleased to be here. He wants to help you. He wants to help police. He wants to clear up any mystery, but he really wants to this is me. He says,
no, Sushant, I want this to be let's just be a nice chit chat show. I don't want it to be so much focused on it's a mess, and that is the media, blah blah blah. So we're not getting into it. I mean, you've dealt with that your whole entire life. Oh, funny thing, I wanted to tell Sushant that in 2007 he was in Mumbai and I was there too. I was trying to, but then I ran away from Mumbai. I couldn't deal with that. And kudos to him.
Yeah.
He went and he really made it so far. That's no small feat.
And he said, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I don't want anybody to think I didn't enjoy what I did. Yeah. I did enjoy. I was very aware of kind of the underbelly of my industry. Mm-hmm. At times, it was hard to ignore.
Yeah.
At times, I was asked to do things that I refused to do.
Okay.
That were not pleasant for me or not savory. They were not, it did not fit my moral compass.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did make my way. So thank you for acknowledging that, because I did make an imprint. I have a footprint in the sand.
And now you have made an imprint you've made the younger generation really rethink their whole lives,
Yes.
And
he wants people to understand freedom and choices.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants people to understand compassion for one another.
That's lacking. Compassion.
Yeah. Deep, deep compassion for one another. Yeah. And he says it's possible to have compassion for one another, have fun, be creative, bring in new ideas, and not trample on anybody else. He said it was a dog eat dog world. Yeah.
That's why I ran away. I said, this is a rat race. I couldn't deal. But yeah. Good for Sushant, man. You held on the reins. You're like, oh hell no, nothing's gonna stop me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that. That's what people should take from his story is you should have this laser sharp focus. Go for it. You fall down, you get up again. Go.
Yes. And he never forgot why he was here.
Yeah.
He never forgot why he was here to help expand humanity's consciousness. He picked the country that he loved. He picked India. He
India.
picked a profession that he loved.
Yeah.
But he also knew this was not, like, again, he says, again, this was not this is not going to be my longest ride.
Yeah.
And it was, and people have a habit of idolizing young death.
Well,
He says, don't idolize me, but really he shows me like a camera lens, you know, like really focus in on what I brought to you and how did you feel when I was on stage or in presence with my music, because that's what he wanted to what I activated in you.
yeah.
I didn't bring it to you, I just helped you recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then going back into your old state, he says that wasn't my that's really, I want you to like, if you feel really good listening to him, he wants that to just be, I'm just a Kickstarter.
Just a Kickstarter. Yeah, true.
I'm just a Kickstarter. Yeah.
I feel like, Sushant, your life, and if you look at it, Martin Luther King, same thing. In that short span of his life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
His was an assassination as well. And a lot of times when the death is so loud, the impact is more for humanity. I said,
so extreme.
It's so extreme. Right?
He said if I had been 70 and retired and just like, you know, show me an old movie reel and stuff, the impact wouldn't have been as much. And he feels like he has a bigger presence now.
Absolutely.
Because I'm in a bigger energy field.
Yeah.
And he says many of us light workers, you don't have to be a light worker in physical form. You don't have to be a peacekeeper in physical form. Yeah. He works with like he has energy of like a Michael Jackson, that creative force, that humanitarian. He says, do not believe the things about Michael either. There's a lot of misinformation. I didn't know we were going to talk about that, but it's like there's a lot of us here.
MJ too, man. He had
yes. He says there's many of us in this realm who have not forgotten humanity.
Yeah. Humans can be very cruel. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So Sushant, I know I've been telling you this the whole day. You probably are tired of hearing this from me, but I really want this to be a platform for you. I know you've spoken to many mediums, many tarot readers. Sort of, I want you to just set the record straight, because each one has just sort of construed your message, mixed it up, muddled up, and I want this to be a clean, just this is what happened. You don't have to give any names. Both Kristine and I also, we want to stay safe, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, so we don't.
He says two have come close. Two of the readers have come close.
Is Pooja one of them?
I didn't hear that name.
Pooja Sharma, is she one of them?
Prefers not to say.
Okay, don't say.
He truly prefers not to say.
Yeah, don't say.
He says why is it so important to know?
Why is it so important to know? The fake news bothers me. So
yeah, he says, can you trust that all will be, I kind of see like three people over here. I don't know who they are. I have no idea who they are.
Okay.
They're in shadow. He doesn't really like I do not give them energy. I do not give them life force. This is karmic for them, not for me.
Yeah.
I trust the system. It's a very flawed system, and maybe 5 or 6 years before anything is actually what you would consider brought to justice. And he says, I'm perfectly fine with that, because this was not, it will not make sense. It may not make sense to much of our audience, but this was my way of highlighting two things: manipulation, control of systems, of people, of children, young, maybe not young minds. I don't know if it's actually children, but young minds that are naivety. So you trust someone. Mm-hmm. I have your best interest in mind. For instance, he's throwing me like a business manager, something like that. You know, don't worry, I have your career in my hand. Mm-hmm. I will not let anything come harm to you. So that naivety of it's like, yes, he had such a big heart. He had such a big
heart.
like he could not, like you said earlier, he couldn't, some things he could not, it was not in his own imagination.
Yeah.
That he said there's much that's not known about his story. Much
Oh,
that's not known
he's
about
such
his
a
story. He
pure
gets many
heart
things
because
hidden.
he didn't know, he couldn't think that some people can think like this. The same thing, like I
Yeah.
told you about that lady, right? About the candles.
Yeah.
Like I
So
can't think somebody can do
it didn't
that.
make sense to him. So he'd get like, well, this might be a little off, but well, it just doesn't,
Yes.
it doesn't resonate with him.
Doesn't resonate.
So he had a lot to learn. He says there's many things that were unsettling to him that he kind of just worked through and put aside, and I show up and do my job. But justice will prevail, but not necessarily in the time frame. But he says, please, 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 so much energy and wasted on my death.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look at the problems of my country.
Yeah.
Look at the problems of my people. If in all this, he says, really what this, because remember, I'm talking to his highest self, his highest conscious. I'm not talking the part that's still attached to the physical body that there's part that remembers exactly. He could tell me minute by minute the 24 hours preceding around his death.
Yeah.
But that is an unenlightened part of him.
Got it.
That he really doesn't even connect to that part a whole lot.
Wow.
He does not connect to it. But what he does say is, and it kind of left me for a second to listen again. What'd you say, Sushant? The time and energies that's spent in blaming other people, he said, it's look in your own life. Where do you blame someone else for your unhappiness? Are you blaming your husband because they misunderstand you? Are you blaming your boss because they don't give you advice? Are you blaming your mother-in-law? He said, I am here. He said, hear me loud. He said, take out the fingers, take off the blinders. My life experience is about change. It is about creating change. It is about creating change within yourself. It is about, he says, I love humanity deeply.
Yeah.
I love my countrymen deeply. It hurts my heart to see that I left a platform where we could start focusing on things. There are many people in despair.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just, he says, this pot's being stirred for no reason. And he also understands he is very much playing, and I don't know if you've discussed it with your listeners, he's playing a gigantic role in the end of duality. He said, I am leaving. I am not a third dimensional being. I'm a ninth dimensional being. I'm most comfortable in the ninth dimension. I kind of dropped down into third dimensional form to assist humanity. Yeah. But my role is to eliminate the third dimensional vibrational field.
Got it.
And people are getting stuck in it.
Got it.
So there's two readers, whoever, I don't know who they are, that have already come through with some information that were pretty accurate in whatever, he says, accusations.
Oh.
I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are.
So
he's
now,
not telling me.
We are in the fourth dimension? Is that what we are in? What are we in?
The earth is anchored totally in fifth. Some people go fourth, fifth, sixth dimension. It's like a sliding,
Yeah.
It's very hard to maintain one vibrational field. So you kind of go up and down, right? Your little crab, you might be third, fourth dimension. Some souls are holding a place, a fourth dimension, to kind of let other people, like we're holding a platform. Some people are holding a platform.
Right.
People are leaving third dimensional because that field is dissolving on this planetary system.
Oh, I didn't know.
So what you're seeing, I know American politics, I know American culture. I don't really, I know a little bit about the world, but I wouldn't call myself an expert, right?
Me neither.
But all the things that we're seeing, all the ugliness, it's coming up.
Ugly, yes.
All of this, right?
Oh gosh, it's crazy.
So we're really truly leaving behind what no longer serves us. That was his role. I want to highlight. Says, I came here to highlight the best humanity and my countrymen to my, he doesn't want to really use the word despair, but it's kind of like to my despair. He says, beyond, if I'm really, he says, he looks at everything with a golden eye. I see everybody as a loving, kind, generous person because he sees their highest self.
Yeah.
But he sees the humanity coming out and he says, they're not at their best when they're looking at somebody to blame. And it's really the anger of not being heard themselves.
Yeah.
They're going into their own soul history.
Mm-hmm.
He does not mean to disappoint you.
Yeah. No.
Because he knows that you wanted answers.
Yeah.
But he says if you want answers, he will share them with you individually and he'll help you channel.
Oh, how do we do that?
And then you get to decide. He says, but
Okay.
there are people, you know what?
I'll ask him.
He says there are people in the legal system in his country that are corrupt. So that has to be taken care of first, or in tandem with his investigation.
That makes a lot of sense.
He says, you see how hands rub each other?
Yeah.
So if I give you a name, if I said Susie, you know, if I said a name, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Because there's still corruption going on.
Got it.
Not the whole industry.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of time till that, because he says it doesn't matter. There's truth is known, and it's not being addressed.
Yeah.
So
my only question then, Sushant, is whoever did this to you, do they feel any remorse or regret or guilt?
They do a lot of drugs.
Ugh, all right.
So in this moment, they're numbing.
They're numbing.
And there was a big payoff.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money.
He says, but please hold on that I was not going to stay in a physical body.
Yeah.
No, he says, I knew this was a possibility that I would be murdered.
Yeah, I saw that in one of the readings that you would have not, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but we're going to wait for you to come back. And I was like, when you come back, we'll probably be old hags. Kristine.
Yes.
We'll be like, didn't even have teeth.
Right.
No dentures.
Yeah. But he is going to stay in the etheric field for a very, very long time.
Okay.
He has a lot to do.
Oh, okay.
He has a lot to do. He is still very connected to his family, mama.
His mom?
Yeah.
Now is he going to become like how do you say, guardian angel? No.
He says no. He says that's a nice job. It's just not one I'm prefer to do. I'm part of a collective team.
Yeah.
I'm part of it. It looks like a council. He's a part of a council of light.
Ooh.
So when you pass over, when you transition, you can, recycle back in.
Yeah.
You can become a guide. If you're part of the angelic realm, go back to the angelic realm. He says, I'm part of a collective council of light.
Like an ascended master?
Yes, you could call it that. Yep. I did not master physical life, so if you really been very specific, but he says my title, the energy I write with is compassion. Compassion.
Ooh.
I am about compassion.
Like an angel of compassion.
Yep, angel of compassion. He says, so even understand, see, everybody wants to blame somebody.
Yeah.
He says, I have compassion for the people involved in my death. Just as I have compassion for the person who found me after I died. Just as I have compassion because there's trauma. And even if you're doing something for the money or for manipulation control, somewhere there's a reason. He says, he's not out for revenge.
No, I think what happened, maybe he was just shocked, obviously, because so sudden, right?
Yep. And it took him a while to be aware of what actually happened. For him to get into a higher state of consciousness.
It took him a while. He had to work.
It took him a while. Yeah. So to kind of clear the fuzziness, or like, I don't really know how he died, but very, very, I don't know how he died, but it was very, very, it wasn't clear. Which is kind of normal.
It was an assassination. That's
So just not even aware of quite what happened until he got a little bit clearer.
So Sushant, listen, I just want to tell everybody, just keep sending him prayers. I send you a lot of prayers. It's funny. I sent him like armor, like Lord Ram, like a shield with a golden.
And he says he's a bit of a teacher too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So what prayer do you send to me?
Actually, either Mahamrityunjay, Om Namah Shivaya, and mostly Om Namah Shivaya, but when I'm saying it, I'm sending him armor. Okay.
And he says this is her teaching moment.
Okay, tell me.
Send her prayer and trust it.
Okay. But any prayer?
Any prayer. It's really just send me your best thoughts.
Okay.
There are certain prayers that you like. and that the physical of him, his personality resonates with,
Yeah.
but it is trust that I'm receiving,
Yes.
and trust it went right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's same as if you told your child, continually told them the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Brush your teeth,
Mm-hmm.
you're not trusting them. Trust me that it's received. Trust that you're a powerful, wonderful, wise being, like all your listeners,
Aw.
that you are heard. Because that was his thing. I'm not heard. I hear you.
Yeah.
He said, and then where's the prayer for yourself?
Myself?
You and your listeners. So don't just send to him, send to yourself.
Nurse? Okay.
What you do for one, you do for all.
Okay. That's beautiful.
And he does this. He does red roses. I don't know the names of flowers, but just like a river of flowers. Just a
Aw,
river of flowers.
thank you.
He's so grateful for this time in this space. So grateful for the admiration that people have for him. He says, I love humanity so much. I
Yeah.
love humanity so much that I was willing to have a shorter life experience to bring some awareness.
Yeah, no, humanity loves him back. And the fact that he's so, how do you say, approachable. Like, he's not like, he's like, yeah, come, let's talk. I love that about him. Very approachable.
Yes.
Sushant, thank you so much. And I will circle back to asking you. I'll ask him to answer my questions.
Yes, he says, I will do a private, but there's not a place for this to be settled quite yet.
Yeah, no, I understand.
In a legal sense.
But it'll all come out. So he will get justice. It will all come out in due course.
Yes, because there are certain players that, he says, my participation's kind of done.
Yeah. You're done.
I'm kind of done. I'm done. Everybody else needs to figure it out. It's like, you know the singer Prince, right?
Yeah.
So he did not leave a will. He was very clear. After he died, he said he'd show up in sessions a lot, and he'd show up in healings. He's just a beautiful dude. He says, I specifically did not leave a will because it was for my family to figure out how to be decent to each other. Not just my family, but Lord,
that's a good idea.
They have to be responsible. He says, I know exactly what I was doing by not leaving a will.
That's a genius idea.
Right. So he's kind of the same way. I'm out of the body. You guys figure out life now because I gave you an example. I gave you an example of how to live. And now it's your choice. Like your mindfulness coach was saying, the physical therapist, it is a choice.
It is a choice.
So what do you do when someone dies? Do you take the best of them and go forward with that?
Yes.
Or do you stay in your own anger, frustration, fear, blame? Because it's a choice. But what are you creating more of?
Yeah. I think, like you said, just remember them, celebrate their lives.
Yep. He says there's murky water and there's really clear water. He says, I am the clear water.
And I think, Sushant, you also want to tell everybody sort of like now move on with your lives too, right? Like don't dwell. And
he says you have your own life and you're focusing on mine.
Yeah.
He says, what kind of sense is that?
It's really
like enjoy my movies, enjoy my music, absolutely. But if you've got a lovely wife, embrace her, love your children, like have the music in your own life.
He's like, you people are just like they're taking his pictures and like micro analyzing. He had a dot on his face. He had a zit in that movie.
It's right. It's like that. He says, try living in that.
I know.
If we were that aware of ourselves, he says, I wouldn't have needed, he says, it doesn't matter. I did what I did. I'm very happy with the life I lived.
Yeah.
But the awareness is to be tuned into each other.
Yeah. So everybody who's watching, please. I know it's COVID times. I know you're all stuck at home, but there's a lot to do at home too.
Says put on one of his records and dance. If that, if you want to honor him, be like him.
Songs.
Be like one of his, if there's a favorite character, but it's like he wants to embed vitality into people.
Yeah.
He wants that vitality.
Yeah.
Like with each listener.
I want to ask Sushant, like when he had to prepare for a movie Rapta, how long did it take for him to get those abs?
Was that pretty physical?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He got ripped.
He said, oh, that was he enjoyed it actually because he really likes to get into things and really give it his all. Feels like 3 or 4 months of really, really intense.
Oh, so 3 to 4
months. I was in pretty good shape anyway, but that like Adonis look.
Yeah.
each like you could see each muscle, right? Each
Every
thing.
muscle. His.
Yeah, you could see every pieces. That was intense, very intense, but dedication.
Is it hard to maintain a body like that?
Yeah, because it's all you do. It's your
whole day.
focus. Yeah, it's your whole day. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you look great.
I enjoyed it. He says, yeah, it was nice. He's like, isn't it really nice?
He's like, Matt.
He's like, it was really nice.
Oh,
and,
now he can come into all these interviews like that too. He'd be like, wait, you talking about me?
Yeah, he's like, it's really nice. I like this. He said, I picked a really good body. He said, I picked, like, his face is beautiful. His body is beautiful. He's like, I picked the perfect picture. Like, he says, I'm not perfection, but I'm my perfect image of myself. As you should be your perfect image of yourself.
From when he was in TV, he looked totally different. And you see how he worked to get that look? That's again his focus.
Dedication. Yep. Dedication to self. Yeah. And it also kept his mind occupied sometimes, because he had a habit of sometimes going down, not necessarily a dark hole, but he had some unsettling thoughts.
It's brilliant minds. They have that.
Yeah. So he said that just keeping them focused, in the moment, not going to things. Yeah. He said, otherwise I'd focus on things I didn't have.
Yeah.
I had to focus on what was missing in my life.
True. Oh my God, Sushant, thank you so much for coming, and let's celebrate his life, everybody. When you leave watching this video, go and check out one of his movies, especially Byomkesh Bakshi. That is such a great movie of yours. Woo.
I will have to look that up. Kristine will look that up.
It's basically,
and he says he's gold. He says he's gold. He is the gold orb. He is the gold light. So when you see, if you're meditation and you're thinking of him, and you're thinking of him with, just think him with love, you may see some golden for you.
Wow.
Okay. For anybody who's listening, it's like this. And it may be different for you, but that's what he showed me. It's like this. It's just a nice band of gold.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Shine bright, my friend. And we'll send you lots and lots of love. And Kristine, oh my goodness.
Thank you so much. Really was so
much. We have to plan somehow to meet once everything is over.
Oh, and I would love to do that. I really would. That'd be a delight.
We can do
right?
Something.
Yeah.
You can burst fireworks in Diwali now. That's big in New Jersey. That's huge.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
The whole US, you can burst fireworks here for Diwali. Wow. That's pretty big. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a big step in the right direction, right?
All right. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Everybody. Good night.
Yeah.
Take care of
yourselves. Good night.
Yeah.
With love.
With love.
Bye-bye.